Star Citizen might be the most expensive game in development right now. The company behind the game, Cloud Imperium Games, raised over $700 million so far. Yup, you heard that right folks, $700 million. And still after 12 years, it's not completed yet. Is it fair to say that it was a scam now? Maybe not, as they are still working on the game, so it might be ready one day or another. Let's take a look at why all of this is happening. Some of the things that they did to the employees were just straight out illegal, so stick around to find out. So Star Citizen is a space trading and combat simulation game, whatever that is. Basically, it's a multiplayer space game where you can fly around in space and engage in various space combats. The game was announced on a private crowdfunding page way back in October of 2012. It was a success as they raised over $2 million. Everyone was so impressed with the game that people were buying the pre-purchase copy, which lets them play various different little modules the devs released to test out the gameplay before the release of the game. The worst part is that people bought these modules because for them, they were given the full game release date of 2014. People thought of trying out the product beforehand and experiencing it before anyone could. But it's more than a decade now and the game is still in production. The company continued to raise more funds, which angered the buyers of the game and the ones who contributed to the project, as even though the game was promised to be released by 2014, they are still raising funds to complete the game. It's one of the highest crowdfunded projects, not just in gaming, with over $700 million raised as of May 2024. Crazy to even think about it, but now people are losing confidence and are demanding refunds. You might have wondered, since games like Black Myth Wukong, one of the best looking games out there, was made on a budget of $70 million in just 4 years, why is it taking Cloud Imperium Games, CIG, more than 12 years to make theirs with over 10 times the amount? Well, frankly, the answer might shock you. According to this article in Insider Gaming, Star Citizen or CIG has spent over $100 million each year from 2020 to 2022, and they have reportedly spent over $670 million of their budget till now, which just sounds crazy to me. Just take a look at this picture. This is the concept for just a coffee area. Sorry, a coffee bar for their Manchester building. The employees said that the offices of the company feels like the space version of Willy Wonka's factory. And let me tell you, these kinds of renovations are not cheap. They probably cost thousands of dollars, and just for the coffee bar. The company is justifying these spendings with quotes like pushing the boundaries of game development. How would that push boundaries in development? The only thing they are pushing is the release date of the game. No wonder only the execs are saying that, as they are the ones who would sit there all day enjoying their life with all the money they are spending on custom furnitures and futuristic looking coffee areas, while the employees are getting laid off. Oh wait, yeah, I almost forgot. After all of these nonsense spendings, they realize that the money they have left is not enough. The Manchester building is still not finished yet, and they need to make it look spectacular instead of actually completing the game. So around 100 to 150 employees were laid off from their Austin and LA offices. That's just pure evil. Even the employees think that this is unnecessary. Make the game, release it, if the people like it, they would buy it, then use that money to expand and make your dream office. The company was already under heavy criticism and more people were trying to get out by requesting refunds, so CIG wanted to keep the layoffs a secret by making them sign a non-disclosure agreement, which means they won't be able to talk about it in social media. But some people refused. To these people, the company said that they won't get severance if they don't sign the agreement. Although many people signed it, some of them didn't, and it was because of these people that the whole world got to know about the dirty tricks. I completely agree with the people that did sign the agreement. They would need the money like everyone else, but it was a bad move by the company. Regardless of the huge spendings, as good games can be completed with budgets less than $100 million, Star Citizen taking this long is mostly because of management. Let's first start with the game engine. It was using CryEngine 3, developed by Crytek and used to make the fan favorite Crysis 3. During that time, it was the engine and every game that wanted to look good tried using the engine. But it was buggy and few people knew how to use it. CIG then switched to Amazon Lumberyard, which was a modified version of CryEngine, but with features that had backend support with Amazon Web Services and social support with streaming services like Twitch. But the problem was that the engine was not sufficient for a project of their size, so finally they heavily modified Lumberyard and named it Star Engine. This took a long time and delayed so much of the development of the actual game that people were starting to get worried, but it was still early days. The worst was yet to come. The reason why all the changes were to be made before developing the game was because Chris Roberts, the chief creative officer, wanted to do something new, changing his vision for the game almost every single week. He was well known inside the company to be a perfectionist. He would ask the devs to make changes very often, which required the tweaking of the engine. Lumberyard was difficult to work on to begin with, and with all the new features and changes, it made it more difficult to make progress. Moreover, being a perfectionist, Roberts wanted to know about every single creative decisions, right down to the placement of objects that no one would ever interact with. Former and current employees would complain that the decisions, which should take minutes, would take hours or even days. Roberts would look into every decision and revise them, even the minute things that after 5, 6, 7 reviews, he would say yes, demand a revision, or worse, scrap the idea entirely. He would also ask for things which generally require months to be completed within a week or so. He micromanaged everything in the meetings as well. The employees would have to sit through all the details like placements of rocks and buildings which hardly anyone would interact with, increasing the time of development even further. With his constant change in vision for the game, many of the experienced devs left the team entirely. The company would replace them with new devs who would find it too difficult to learn the janky engine. And as most of the experienced employees would leave in subsequent years, the new employees found it more and more challenging to learn. Many of the devs would have Star Citizen as their first commercial game release. I really have doubts about the company after learning about all these things. But wait, there's more. On October 1st, CIG's head of operations, Aaron Roberts, mailed all the employees that they would have to work every day, including Saturdays and Sundays, until October 19th, with time off in lieu being offered for working hours of Saturdays and Sundays. Reading the mail that said that you won't be getting any holidays for 19 straight days is criminal. And it was criminal. As soon as the employees questioned the legality of the decision, CIG quickly altered it and offered them Sundays off, provided that they would complete a total of 56 work hours from Monday to Saturday. A quick Google search would show us that the average working hours for the UK is 48 hours, and they have an office in Manchester where this rule was enforced. The way they got around the legalities is that the average working hours are calculated over a period of 17 weeks. And so you can work more than 48 hours in a week, but it cannot cross the 48 hours average for 17 weeks. CIG also offered October 21st as the holiday to reduce the average working hours. Pretty scammy looking if you ask me. Also, going forward, as they have no more money to spend on luxurious coffee spaces, which only the execs will enjoy while working their employees to exhaustion, they are planning on releasing a smaller game named Squadron 42. They pitched the idea to Microsoft recently and they said it will be a spin-off of Star Citizen that would be released with chapters, and each chapter will expand on the story. This way, they would be able to sustain their billion-dollar lifestyle in the company. Reportedly, CIG said that they wanted to release the game as soon as possible because the funds are running low. There are other speculations that the company is planning on releasing a third game, a medieval fantasy game that might help them raise even more funds. The release date of any of these games are yet to be disclosed, and I don't think any of them are even close to release yet. The only thing I hope is that we get a game that is good and a finished one. After 12 years, and probably more, if the game is buggy and is horrible to play, there might be some real angry customers coming after the company. So this was the story behind Star Citizen controversy. If you ask me, it looks real scammy and people should really press for refunds. I have no hope left for the company. I really hope that when the game does come out, it's not like days before. If you enjoyed, hit the like and subscribe button as it helps me out a lot. YouTube recommends this video, which I think you will like as well. See you in the next one.